Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. I'm an author and depression counselor. Welcome to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. The title of this week's video is From Despair to Joy, and in it I interview a former client who got herself out of a really bad, dark, suicidal depression and came back to life. Now, during this video, we were experimenting with a new technique, and accidentally my videographer appeared right behind me. You might be able to see him now. And so, as we say in the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And now we can start. In my videos, A Reason for Hope During Hard Times and From Darkness to Light in a Year, I talk about being at the end of my rope and then rising from the ashes like a phoenix. Now, my experience is not unique. People have written memoirs about recovery from depression, and I've seen it with many of my group members. One such person is here with me right now, a former group member, just graduated. Her name is Christine. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Douglas.
So during her 20s and 30s, Christine went through a number of episodes like I did. They were tough, but she came out of them fairly easily. But then in her 40s, in the year 2015, she was blindsided when her father committed suicide. This was a major blow, obviously, and she was hospitalized 5 times in 8 months, culminating in a 1-month stay at Providence Hospital here in Portland. So let's pick up the story from here. Well, what was it like to be in Providence? What was the experience? What was it like for you?
Well, when I first got to Providence and I was admitted, I was not able to get out of bed for the first week. They have groups. I wasn't able to attend the groups. And my food had to be monitored. I wasn't on solids, would not eat solids. They would make me smoothies in the kitchen to get me eating again.
You were pretty shut down, pretty dysfunctional at that time, obviously.
I was very dysfunctional.
Yeah.
I was beyond depressed.
Right. But then you told me that over the next couple of weeks, you started to kind of engage more, correct?
Correct. I was at Providence for a month, which is unusual for a mental health stay. But during that time, a new medication was started for me. I was put on a new antidepressant. And as that started to build into my system, I slowly started to attend groups, and then attend all of the groups, and then start to eat my meals, and then eat all my meals. Yeah.
So by the time they discharged you, you were definitely on the mend. And what happened after the discharge?
After the discharge, the very next day, I started what is called an intensive outpatient program.
And what was that like? Well, how was that structured?
Oh, it was incredible. We had various counselors who would do sessions, and they would speak to us on a topic regarding self-care, healing, mindfulness. And it was peer-to-peer support group. We were with our peers all day.
Right, I went through that 2 months before you did, the same year.
Yeah.
It's amazing. 6 days a week, 9:30 to 3:30, you get a free counselor, you get a free psychiatrist. This is an amazing program that helped you, helped some other people in the Monday group, and it definitely helped me. This is something for the viewers out there. If you are in a bad state, if you've just come out of the hospital or you're thinking you might need to go in, check local agencies like a hospital, like a mental health agency, and see if they have what are called intensive outpatient programs. It's also called day treatment or partial hospitalization. Those are key words. You want to look for those because they can really give you structure and connection. They can be very helpful and sometimes life-saving.
My first week in intensive outpatient, my suicidal ideation on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it was about an 8.5. We would check in with a mood rating in the mental health system, 1 being lowest, 10 being highest.
Right.
I was often still at a 2. And after the first week, I felt my suicidal ideation completely lessen. This was huge for me, I would have a couple of hours without feeling suicidal. And my group members would come to me and they were like, wow, watching you get your footing is very inspiring. You were like the saddest person when you got here.
Right. So that lasted, what, about 4 weeks?
My intensive outpatient, my time there lasted actually for me, I think it was 6 weeks.
6 weeks, wow. They gave you a lot, just like the hospital, more time. Then you were discharged in June of 2016. And over the next couple of months, what did you do to continue recovery, your behaviors or attitudes? I think you told me you would learn something about if you don't feel like doing it, do it anyway, or you had got some sort of tip that was very valuable to you.
In the outpatient program, they had told me that sometimes we need to do the behavior that we feel counter to in regarding self-care. We need to go to the grocery store and buy groceries for ourselves. We want to isolate at home and not go to the grocery store. I would have to break through that feeling of isolation and not wanting to go to the grocery store, purchase food for myself and my family. And every time I did a behavior like that, I started to get stronger and stronger and have more confidence in myself and faith in life again.
And I want to let the new viewers know that during this time, you were not alone. Your husband was standing by you like a rock. I have always said in this channel that we need other people. We cannot heal in isolation. And fortunately, you had a family member who was really supportive.
Yeah.
And then in November 2016, about 6 months after you left the hospital, you found my group.
I did.
And you told me that this was a turning point, or one of the turning points, certainly a very important turning point in your recovery. And how was that so?
When I came to the group, even that first night, I still felt that physical body anxiety. I'd been out of the hospital by then, 7 months? And I had that kind of anxiety in me. And I started to calm in group, and I started to have peers. And I'd have an assigned text partner that we would communicate back and forth that would help me redirect. I would get real life tips and resources, how others are caring for themselves, and I would see if that would work for me, and then I would start to put those into application in my own life.
It was like the IOP program, but on a much smaller scale. We only had 8 people in the group, compared to when I was there. Sometimes there were 30 people in the classroom. And you were a very active participant. You not only received support, but you also gave her support. And that's the whole thing why these groups work. It's a two-way street, peer-to-peer support. And you even found another group during the time you were with me. It was the Depression Bipolar Support Alliance group on Thursday nights at Providence. So you were going to 2 groups at the same time.
Yeah, peer-to-peer support for me, I have learned, for me, it is vital. I've seen it time and time again. That's where I do my most healing.
Right, and that's why I've been doing these groups for 17 years. And then finally, in January of 2017, this year, another turning point occurred. It was a big turning point. And what was that?
Well, it was funny because the turning point happened then, and I was prescribed new medication that we had discussed in this group because we had seen others struggle with similar issues. Mine was obsessive thoughts, and I would have constant thoughts of suicide. Not so much that I wanted to hurt myself, but just thoughts of, am I going to lose control? Am I going to hurt myself? Constant thoughts. And I went to my med provider and I said, at group, we had discussed Prozac. He said, you have never been on Prozac before? And I said, no. He said, let's try it. And by the end of the first week, I felt relief. I could see, it built on itself for the next 4 to 6 weeks. That's when I really felt the relief. But by the end of the first week, I could sense that relief was in sight. It took the edge off within the first week.
And those suicidal thoughts or obsessions have really gone away for the most part since then. That's 7 months ago.
Yeah.
The drug like it turned a switch.
Yeah.
It stopped that flooding of your mind with these obsessive thoughts that are really intrusive and you can't really control, because I've had them.
Exactly.
They just bombard you, and somehow the Prozac just, it turned a switch and off. It was like turning off a faucet. The water stopped coming out, and there you were, at peace.
Yes, it gave me control back of my thoughts.
And that was so. I've talked about medication in this channel, and should you take it, should you not take it? Here's a case where it's invaluable. And so you continue to improve in this summer. You started to enjoy your family more. You've been hanging out with your girls who are what ages? 9?
My youngest is 9 and my oldest is turning 13.
9 and 13. And you started to feel so well that about 3 weeks ago, you told the group that for right now you felt strong enough to be on your own, and there's your recovery. Basically, it took about, from the time of hospitalization in May of previous year, it was about 15 months. And it was a contrast, like I said in the beginning of the video, from the abyss all the way to recovery. I think the name of this video is actually called From Despair to Joy, and that's what occurred with you. So what would you say to other people who are listening? I know a lot of people who watch these videos are in bad shape, like you and I have been. Maybe they've lost hope, maybe they think there's nothing they can do. What kind of encouragement would you give them?
Well, my own personal experiences a year ago, right after IOP, I was looking for peer-to-peer groups before I found yours. I went to a 12-step group, and there was a woman there who was celebrating 1 year of sobriety. And it was supportive to me. It wasn't necessarily my issue, but it was supportive to me. And she was talking about how a year prior she was not able to eat, she was not working, she was not getting out of bed, and she was vibrant and she looked healthy and she was put together. And I was like, wow, I wish I could be there in a year. But I just didn't think I could get there. It seemed so far away.
And in fact, you got there.
I did.
Right.
I did. A year later, I was doing horseback riding lessons with my daughters. I even did horseback riding, attended horse camp. I began doing hikes out in the gorge, even by myself at 7 a.m. I would grab my dog and we would go do Eagle Creek. And I mean, I was and I am living life fully.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the message, right? What goes down must come up. And
we were discussing earlier, I am a huge firm believer in the thought spiral and even when I was so sick and I didn't think I could do it, I firmly believe for anybody who's struggling that if you focus up, you will spiral. Your thoughts will build on themselves and you will spiral up. It's more challenging, it's a little bit hard, but it feels good. And for me, that's where my healing is. If I think down, I will spiral down.
Right. But the other point you made is you sometimes had to do the behaviors you didn't want to do, and that created changes in the brain to give you more confidence, which gave you the more likely to do the new behaviors. So there's a positive feedback loop going between behaviors and thoughts and behaviors. It's called the upward spiral. There's a book of that name, and I'm going to be doing a video about that in a couple of months. Well, it's great having you here.
Thanks, Douglas.
I'm so glad you're feeling better. The difference between when I met you and now is phenomenal. And again, viewers, I want to let you know that there is always hope for recovery, resurrection. As Yogi Berra would say, it ain't over till it's over. This has been Douglas Bloch. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you did like it, please give it a like. If you would like to make any comments, leave them in the comments section, or you can email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com. If you'd like to subscribe to this channel, which I hope you do, you simply can click on my photo during the closing credits. You'll be taken to the subscribe page. If you click on my book, Healing from Depression, you'll be taken to that website, healingfromdepression.com. And if you click on the videos, you'll get to watch them. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you.